The views and opinions on the Craig L. Hayes Show do not necessarily reflect those of Westgate Resorts, ownership, or management. And now, on with the show.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Get your copies while they last. Stop the presses.
And now for something completely different.
Are you ready for a little truth? Are we not entertained? Wisdom is the proper use of knowledge and experience. There are no safe spaces here. The truth shall make you free. It's showtime! So you want the truth, but can you handle the truth? Well, here's another fine mess you've gotten us into. Now that's entertainment. Enlighten me a little. What you say is quite logical. And what did we learn? Prepare yourself for a little sensory overload. I came here for the truth. 7 years ago. Stand by to roll show intro. Roll show intro in 3, 2, 1, go.
This is the Craig L. Hayes Show.
Hello, America, family, friends, and listeners all around this planet we call home. This is the Craig L. Hayes Show. I am Craig L. Hayes. Today's date is the 3rd of February, 2025, and we're continuing on our episodes of show business behind the scenes. And we're doing this again from Elvis Presley's dressing room here at the Westgate Resort in the International Showroom in Las Vegas. And just a quick thank you to Cammie Christensen. She's the president of the hotel. And Dawn Rawls, she's the vice president of marketing and entertainment. And to John Pierre, he's the technical and entertainment director here at the Westgate. Thank you all for allowing us to do this look at history of Las Vegas show business and other parts of the country. And we appreciate it. Like I say, we are in Elvis Presley's dressing room. Right next door to us is Barry Manilow's private dressing room. And I only mention that because Barry Manilow finally passed Elvis Presley's number of shows he's done here in this hotel on this stage. So we have two historical little places here at the Westgate. Anyways, today's show is going to be from somebody I met probably almost 30 years ago. And we're going to talk a little about show business, where he came from and how he got into show business and all the shows and all the fun we've had together over the last 30 years. His name is TJ Reach. TJ, Ray, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you.
Good to have you here and willing to come in and talk a little bit about show business. Like I was saying, we're going to talk about show business, but before we get there, just so that people know a little bit about, who you are and stuff, you want to give us a little bit of like an autobiography, just a quick overview of where you come from, and eventually we'll get into how you got into show business.
Well, that's not very interesting, but
I don't know.
I was brought up in the South, in Georgia, a little town called Waitrose, in Louisiana, Minden, Louisiana, both being small towns. Joined the Navy. After the Navy,
Well, how about that's a real quick. How about
I'm telling you.
What did you get it? I'm just out of curiosity. Did you ever get into like show anything in theater in high school or anything like that, or just
No, they didn't have any kind of programs like that where I
that
grew
small
up.
of a town, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, some places don't have that because the towns are so small. They don't put that kind of money into anything like that. So,
Matter of fact, I
what were your
I never
subjects?
been backstage until the very first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was hired.
What about schools? What did you play sports? Were you like?
Yeah, I played sports.
Oh, cool. What
Played
was your?
basketball and football, Grew up the whole time as my younger years, playing those sports. And,
Nice.
you know,
No college though.
no college for me.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I had to finish high school, as a matter of fact, in Navy. So when I got in the Navy, I got a GED there. So I spent my time in the Navy in Italy, my whole enlistment, you know, which was a hell of a good time. I had a good time there.
Why did you pick the Navy if you were going to go into Army?
Well, my dad was in the Navy. My stepfather was in the Navy. My older brother was in the Navy. It kind of was the thing to do, you know, at the time. I thought I had nothing else going, so I found myself, what am I going to do now? And then next thing I know, I was saying, sure. I, you know, sworn in, and they sent me over to Italy after boot camp.
What was your classification? What were you?
I was a bosun mate.
Bosun's mate. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of painting and scrubbing on the deck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we did.
It sounds cool. I'm a bosun's mate. Yeah. Okay. That means you hop
Small
on.
craft. We did that, and then we were in charge of all the small craft and stuff like that were around, you know, the captain's gig and things like that. When I finally, after a few years, the first couple of years, of course, is nothing but shining and mopping and scraping and painting,
Yeah.
you know. So,
There's a lot of painting to do on a ship.
oh yeah, I was over the side of that ship. I can't tell you how much, you know, in the bosun chair, scraping and painting. There's always, you know, when there was nothing else to do, that's where they'd send you, over the side.
Yep.
Salt water, tear that stuff up, you know.
Yeah. It just peels that stuff off.
Yeah. You know,
And
whole lines.
it's a special paint. Is that the stuff that has lead in it and stuff like that to try to protect
I'm sure
it
it did
against
back
it?
then.
Yeah.
You know, even my ship had asbestos on it. You know, it was an old ship. You know, as a matter of fact, the year I got out, they sailed it back to Philadelphia to be decommissioned. It was such an old ship. It'd been around for a while.
It had done its time.
Yeah, it was a submarine tender. You know, where submarines would just come and pull alongside, and they'd be repaired. We had everything they needed to repair them. On, you know, all kinds of knowledge, different folks.
Yeah.
You know, so
So is that what is that what the base was there in Italy?
it wasn't really it was a base, but the only thing on the base was our ship. Our ship and a bowling, a place, a beer hall for the submarine sailors. You know what I mean? When they come in after being out there for who knows how long, you know, they come in and get drunk every night in the beer hall. You know, and that's what they had there. That was all that was there. Yeah. It was a semi-isolation duty, as a matter of fact. They sent you there. You only had to do 6 months time. I extended my whole enlistment there. I liked it because I had family in the mainland. I was on an island, off an island, is where they had the ship. So, you know, it was nothing there on that island but the ship. So you had to take a ferry boat or your own boat. You know,
Go over to mainland and they got
over to the main island,
Yeah.
which was Sardinia, and from there you could go to the mainland. You know, that's what I used to do. I had a car, put my car on the ferry overnight, and I'd be in Naples, you know, by morning.
And go spend the weekend.
Yeah,
In,
I get 3-day pass and whenever I could, and yeah, it was good times. You know, I met some of my relatives there. You know, which was really, really interesting. As a matter of fact, I almost stayed there after my enlistment because some relatives wanted me to stay there and help in their business. He's a manufacturer of clothes, basically jeans. Back then, jeans were, you know, like all the hoopla, you know, Calvin Kleins and all that stuff, you know, that was going around. And he had his own brand in Italy, you know, and he had a big factory, and he did well,
good.
you know. And I was good. He asked me to stay. He begged me to stay, in fact, you know. But
Now, how were they family?
through my mother.
Okay, so
My mother's Italian, and her family.
Did you request to go to that place?
I requested to go to Italy.
Okay, and so they put you on that island. So that made it simple, right? Now
Yeah, when it comes to the end of when you check in, when you start to do all your physical and all that stuff before they send you anywhere, you know, and you swear in.
Yeah.
I noticed that all these guys were going straight out of boot camp into A school, you know, some kind of school, whatever their preference was, whatever they wanted to learn. And I didn't have anything. You know, I just joined, so that's why I was a bosun mate.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, well, right before I seen all these guys getting on the bus to go to San Diego and to the boot camp there, I was in this like cubicle thing with this recruiter. I told him, you know what? I want to go to Italy. He said, right, that's when I decided, right there in that cubicle. I said, I want to go to Italy. I said, unless you guarantee me Italy after boot camp, I'm not joining. He says, and he went back and forth like a car dealer. He went back,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? He went back and said, well, I can't do that. You know, let me go see what I can do for you. And he came back and said, oh, we can't do that. And he left again, and he said, and come back. And then he finally says, here, he showed me the orders, and I signed the orders to go to Italy, you know. And that's why they sent me a semi-isolation duty. They thought I wasn't going to, you know, dig it at all, but little did they know.
So how many people total were on the ship and all that?
1,000 people on board my ship.
1,000. Wow.
Yep. Well, you had to have everything that you could, you know, you had
Yeah.
to dive everything from divers to, you know, all these technicians, and they could fix anything on a sub. You know, and plus we replenished them too in supplies, and, you know, so.
That doesn't sound like a bad gig on the Mediterranean for your time, and
Oh, yeah.
getting to skip over to Italy for the food and for all the good stuff.
It
there.
was way beautiful. Let me tell you.
Yeah, that would not be hard to do at all. That's
I wish I'd gone back already. That's one thing I really wish because it was beautiful.
and they call it semi-isolation. It's like, well, you're isolated, but there's only another 1,000 guys around you all the time.
Well, during the summertime, the place was packed. You know, all the homes and stuff were full. You know, people sailing on their yachts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you
On
see
the
all
island you were on.
not where the base was, but
Okay.
off of that. You
On
know.
Sardinia and
Yeah,
places like
Sardinia,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, just full up.
Okay.
In the wintertime, all the yachts are gone. All the houses are empty. You know what I mean? There's only the locals there, and, you know.
Wow.
So that's why it became semi-isolation, I'm sure, you know, because there was nothing there then. And then you had to really travel to the mainland if you wanted any kind of action,
Wow.
you know. But it was a beautiful place. I mean, there's 2 Club Meds on the island. You know, I mean, that's how pretty it was.
Nice.
Yep. So,
And that's how many years did you do?
just
in
3.
Just 3 years on that stuff. Well, here comes to the end of your 3-year hitch. Now what?
Well, like I said, I was going to stay.
Yeah.
I had, I was starting to make plans, but I really wanted to go home after that time. You know, I was ready to go home. And my cousin said, well, I might get you a job, be able to get you a job. We're opening a new show, and I didn't know anything, but he said, there might be a place for you on the fly floor. You know, so
And you knew
I
nothing.
knew nothing. I mean, it's the
you
only
go-
place they could have probably put me.
Yeah, it's
I
like-
got away with it. You know what I mean? Is on the fly floor because there was a lot of people wanted that job.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
A lot of people say, hey, we're gonna put you on the fly floor, and you go, okay, whatever that is.
I'll do whatever you want. You know, at that point, I'd do whatever you want. You know, I knew it was a prestigious job at the time. You know, so he talked to my uncle, he was the head electrician there, and my aunt was a choreographer for the Rockettes. You know, my cousin Bumpy, he was one of the head electricians there, and that's how I got in. I was very fortunate, very, very fortunate. And the timing, because Radio City had been closed for a few years. They closed it down because they weren't making any money, you know. And then they got this group formed, and they made it a landmark. They got it to become a landmark, certified, you know what I mean? So they got this fundings. After that, I think Disney had a lot to do with the funding in the beginning in 1980. And they were doing their very first production show after they reopened. So it was a great big deal. You know what I mean? It was a huge show. And I was lucky enough to get on that crew, you know. It was just the timing at the time. So the next day I flew out, you know, once I got discharged, flew right out. They picked me up at the airport, put me right backstage, and hid me up on the fly floor. And I mean, they hid me because, you know, as Local 1, there's a lot of people wanted to know what I was doing there, but they didn't have any experience or anything, you know.
Yeah.
So it was lucky. I was very, very fortunate. You know, the timing was right. You know, knowing the right people, and to today, I feel so fortunate that happened because, you know, I did that big rehearsals and all that. I've never been and that's the first time I've been backstage ever.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't see much of the backstage because I was up on the 4th floor, up on the rail. And I mean, we had 10 guys on the rail. The head guy, Jimmy Anderson, he was looking over the side, you know, watching all the flies go in and out. make sure everybody did their cues on time. And we had three crews of three. 2 guys on the rail, hand over hand, and 1 guy working the lock. And we'd run up and down like monkeys down that rail, to the next cue. I mean, you didn't just do one. Very rarely you did just one. You had several cues. And it took 3 people to use a lot of times to move the thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, just real quickly, we'll just say a fly rail is where when you see scenery and curtains and stuff move in and out on a stage, up and down, we'll call it up and down for everybody. That's what a flyman does. DJ being on the fly rail, he's one that pulls on the ropes and makes things move. So that's why like you say, there was 10 guys on that rail. That's a big rail. How many?
80 line sets.
80 line sets. We have 85 on this place here, but
Yeah, and 2 were at that time. I think they got more now, but at that time, there's only 2 on winches. A great big rocket sign and a New York City sign of some sort. I remember, and yeah, it's the line sets are the pipes on them like 110 feet long, and just soft goods, just curtains are,
Yep.
Single purchase system. They're heavy.
oh yeah,
To get it going and stopping it, So yeah, and I didn't know what I didn't have a clue what I was even doing. I just was told when to pull a rope, and I pulled rope. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know how the system worked or anything. Didn't pay a whole lot of attention. I wish I'd have paid more attention to what I was doing. I learned a lot more, but I didn't get a chance to get on all that stuff either. I was just there to work the shows, we did 3 shows on Saturday. I think it's matinee, 3 shows on Friday, and then 2 shows the other days.
what were some of the shows? You remember them?
Well, I remember this show here. That was just for that one show, the opening show, the New York Summer it was called. And that place is, I think it's still the largest indoor theater in the world. I know it used to be then, so I'm not sure now if they still got that claim to fame.
I've only been in there one time. I just remember how massive the portal, the opening of the stage. It's
60
huge.
by 100.
Yeah, it's
that proscenium.
huge. It was huge. I was like, man, this is a monster. And it had to seat, I don't know, was it seat 5,000,
6,000.
6,000? Okay. But we went and saw it in 78. We went there, and they were showing movies on the
before I
on
even
the
got
screen. And
That must have been right before they closed.
yeah, but they were just showing movies on a
movies?
screen, on the front screen. And it was huge. It was like you say, it was 60 feet high and 100 feet wide. This was a massive picture.
Yeah, it's something. And plus they had the on stage there was 3 elevators that I went 15, 20 feet in the air high, then down to the basement, plus the orchestra pit moving up and down, and there was a turntable in the center also. So that's how they got away with all these, it was really amazing to watch a show there because, the things that they did with the elevators and things disappear, the orchestra pit would roll down upstage and then they'd go down and disappear from everybody, and then come back down on the basement and roll up back downstage and come up and they'd all, what happened? How'd they do that? It was, for me, it was, wish I'd have paid more attention. That's all I know. I said that more because it was a lot of fun, a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with the people there, and I was young. And they were all taking advantage of me because I was Uncle John's nephew, and I fit right in because of him. They all accepted me, so I was lucky.
No, that's a good thing to be able to do. That's where did you live when you were there?
I lived in the city. I lived in Long Island for a while, in Long Beach. That's where I started living. Then I hooked up with one of the dancers, and me and her rented an apartment in the city. I lived in the city there for a while. So, yeah. I did do the commuting to Long Beach. I'd always miss the last train all the time. And I was stuck there all night,
Yeah.
So back to the bar I'd go, So, yeah, that was a common problem. So I had to do something about that. And I met this dancer, and we hooked up and got a place. As a matter of fact, I hooked up with 3 dancers. It was 3 of them and me in an apartment, studio apartment, a one-bedroom apartment.
Man.
Yeah. We all shared because at that time it was like if I remember right, $1,700 a month. You know, we were on the 3rd floor, and it was a 20-something floor building. You know, the higher you went, the higher the rent. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the cheapest one they had at the time. So it was a brand new building though, but it was in prime time.
What year was that?
That was 1980, 81.
Oh yeah, that'd still be a lot of money then.
It was a lot of money for us. I know that. Yeah. You know, that's why it took all of us to, you know, we all chipped in. It wasn't so bad. You know, yeah, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
You know, we got along good enough. And I like to, you know, but the people there, I find New Yorkers that were, you know, maybe because I was so young and naive or what, or, you know, I don't know. But I had too good a time there, as a matter of fact. I remember the times the softball league, the Broadway softball league, all the Broadway shows would have their teams, you know, and we'd go into Central Park on Sunday, and we'd play against all the different shows, you know, and you got to meet new people that way, and it was a blast. You know, we'd be up all night Saturday night after doing 3 shows, be up all night, go to Central Park with a keg of beer, you know. We had a matinee that day, and we'd all play softball, you know, and then go do a matinee, walk over and do a matinee, you know, and then we knew after that, you know, that's the one day that we got some rest, you know, got the night off, so that, and then Monday we were off, so, yeah, but that was a lot of fun. I had fond memories of those times, yeah, it was a lot of blast.
Yeah, because it's not too far from Central Park to Radio City. It's just down the street, basically.
Well, you just get in a cab or you walk it. You know, we couldn't walk it, but we got it.
Walk it? Are you insane?
You know,
yeah,
it was good times. You know, you played all the different shows, and it was good. What else?
What kind of? So you did the big thing at Radio City, the This Is New York deal.
I did the Christmas show there too. You know, spectacular. What was it? Spectacular Christmas show. Christmas Spectacular is what it was named. And you do that show. That was another big production that required my assistance. You know what I mean? I could get in on. I did a concert once. I don't know how I managed that, but I did Pink Floyd concert. I think it was the first concert they had since they reopened it. You know, and it was a big deal. You know, you know, it being a landmark, it was a big deal, anyways. You know, this newly landmark. So there's a lot of rules. You know, all of a sudden people had to adjust to. You know, you couldn't change anything without going through all the red tape. I mean, anything. I mean, you ought to seen the equipment they had. It was so old. The old Kliegel, you know, lighting. I mean, it just. You know, it was way behind. It was way behind.
Yeah.
And they were finding out how difficult, you know, because it was brand new, newly, you know, I'm sure now they've worked out something so they can make those changes, you know, to stay up with technology and stuff, but they were way behind. Yeah.
Well, just getting fixture pieces, parts, lamps, on those old equipment, it's like that's all going away. It's all LED. So you know, yeah, they had to work out something by now, I imagine.
Yeah, these consoles had, you know, switch backs. I mean, that's what they worked the lights on and stuff. You know, and the sound console was the same way. You know, these guys were in a pit right upstage of the pit. You know, and you couldn't see them from the house, but they were right there in view. That's where they operated from.
Wow.
Yeah.
Little differences between there and here. Well,
little.
Yeah. And those differences and stuff we're going to get into in just a few minutes, because that brings us to the end of this first episode of TJ Reach's Life in Show Business. I wish I had an echo on that. That would have sounded cool. Anyways, we'll come back in just a minute and start with this next episode. Until then, Talbot, take it away.
This is the Craig L. Hayes Show.